So I'm just walking along here, and then all of a sudden I see a ton of quartz, but you can see how this whole thing here is just sparkling, and that's called Druzy quartz. Druzy quartz. So that's pretty neat. And then this one's particularly interesting. You can kind of see the like the banding here on this layer, and then on the inside this would have been part of like a pocket. So this is pretty cool. I love finding this stuff. And when you just see one area of a hillside just littered with, you know, quartz or, you know, whatever other mineral like this, it means there's something larger nearby. There's some larger pocket here somewhere. I mean, wow, look at this. So if I had the time, what I would be doing would be to investigate further and just try and find the source where all this stuff is coming from. Start poking around, maybe follow it uphill a little bit and find out where it's coming from, and then that's going to be like your best source of finding the really good stuff. Here's the first look on the other side, and wow, yeah, I didn't realize you'd be able to see the Colorado River and everything down there. And I gotta find my way down this, and then in this valley here, I'm gonna follow this valley, and then probably right on the other side of this big hump here in the middle is where my water cache is. It's just laughable to think I even considered doing this, you know, last night. This kind of loose stuff I really like. I'm actually quite comfortable on this type of loose scree. And I've literally skied down entire mountains doing just what I'm doing right now. Just as long as it's not sitting on top of hard packed soil. And this type of rock here, you can see you got like just this little nodule here, but this rock is really crumbly, right? So I'm pulling off, I just pulled off a big chunk, smashed it on the ground, and then one of the nodules just popped out, and I'm left with this little geode looking thing here. And now as I'm dropping down lower in the canyon, I've got a choice: stay left or stay right. Yeah, left side's got a nice size pour off there. I can't even tell how tall that one is, so I think that makes the decision a little bit easier. Stay to the right. You've got like these little nodules here. I'm not exactly sure what they are. Some nice texture to this. Yeah, pretty neat. Look at that. All those little nodules I was finding earlier, I found one here, and inside it's full of quartz crystals. So they're basically geodes. This one's a little bit too big to take with me. Well, I'm down off the hillside into the main wash. Just gotta work my way through this for a little bit and then get to that water cache. And I can see the area I cached my water from here. If you look up at that big rock right there, just to the right of that, there's a little mini looking cave. Then there's another smaller cave that's out of sight where I hid the water. So I gotta climb up that hill and get to it. I don't think I put it. Oh yeah, it is here. Oh, I see it. Yeah, that's right. I forgot I put that rock in front of it. That was a good call too, because that way anybody who comes up here or from down on the road wouldn't see the reflection of, you know, this bottle. And there you have it, 1 gallon of water. Just had a nice little stop at the Nelson Ghost Town. We do have 1 fridge with a couple of cold drinks, and you know, I told the lady what I was doing. I said, hey, you know, I just walked here from Boulder City and just kind of want a cold drink, and opened up my backpack to pull out my wallet. She said, oh, don't worry about it, sitting there in the store. The owner basically walked in. He said back in '76 he did the lowest to highest route, you know, from Badwater and Death Valley all the way to the summit of Mount Whitney. And I thought that was really cool. I mean, that's almost 50 years ago. And he did a couple other longer walks, but then he had a family, and you know, it's kind of the end of that. And up there's some tail links from a mine. You know, a lot of this stuff was gold, which, you know, for me as a hiker without any tools or anything with me is pretty much useless. You're not going to go up in the tail links and find anything worth keeping. You're not going to, you know, find any nuggets of gold. And every time I see this cholla now, for whatever reason, I keep thinking of the Chia Pet song. Cholla. Just add water and you can grow your own cholla pet. It looks like an abandoned, I guess you'd call it a cabin. Gladiator Corp. Damn. She's looking rough. This is a fixer-upper. Yeah, I don't know, in today's market, this thing might be a hot commodity. And of course, the bed is just filled with cholla balls. Those are little balls that come off the cholla plant. Now that is a nightmare. A bed of cholla balls. I knew I shouldn't have walked through there. They got these cholla. Ow! Ow! Oh my God, that is so painful. You can't grab that with your fingers either. You might be thinking, no big deal, right? Just one prickly little cactus plant. But if you get enough of these stuck in you, they have an enzyme that causes an allergic reaction. And these things are incredibly painful. They have barbs on the other end too. That's what makes them so hard to remove. Oh man. A truly horrible plant. I heard a story about a guy that, you know, fell into one, and you know, they were just all over his arm, back of his neck and stuff. He had to go to the hospital, had to get morphine, and it was like 3 hours of pulling needles out of him. I was trying to read the barrel here. I think it says Conoco oil. Right next to the cabin is all this debris. Basically see where they were mining before in this little area here. Most likely gold. The miners would have slept right here, right on site, you know. Honestly, not a bad way to live. You know, if I had a mining claim, to be able to live right on site, just kind of get up in the morning, go mine for some gold, sleep right here in this cabin. Wouldn't be a bad way to live, in my opinion. Well, the road I was on ended. Now I'm off trail for a bit. Oh shit. Slip and fall accident there. Up on the top of the hill there is the Oro Plata mine. You can see this ore chute here. They would have dumped ore down this into carts and carted it away on this road. Oh wow, and there's actually a small spring here. Very small. These bees got dibs on that. I am going to keep my distance from those guys. And this is the entrance to the Phoenix Belmont mine. Floor is fairly sturdy. Hey man, this thing's got drywall in it. Can't be that old. They had electricity. Oh, here you go, nice elevated view of the Colorado River down there. That's pretty cool. That one's all caved in. It's pretty much done. So the water from my water cache has just got a really nasty chemical type plastic aftertaste. So it's good to have these drink mix squirts for times just like this. It took care of like 95% of it. There's still kind of a weird aftertaste, but a lot better than what it was. Here's a pretty good elevated view of the whole Belmont Phoenix mine complex. This is the pile of tailings. This is all the stuff that would have come out of the mine. And a lot of times with copper, I believe you get galena or lead. So that could be what that is. And then, you know, this is pyrite here, fool's gold. And that's what causes this rust stain color. So it was fun exploring that mine. That's the kind of mine though you really need some more tools, you know. I really need a rock hammer to start cracking some rocks open. And I'm going to take this road this way. There's supposed to be a guzzler, a small game guzzler. And a guzzler is basically, it's like a man-made water collection device so that any rainfall can be collected instead of just seeping into the ground. That way animals have something to drink. And it's usually an initiative that is done for hunting. And last year on my Basin and Range Trail through hike, I used a couple of guzzlers along the way, but they were all big game guzzlers. So they were larger collection devices. This one's a small game guzzler for game birds, basically. And there it is, there's the guzzler. Small game guzzler. And the way these work, water falls on this big roof thing. You can see a gutter here that just channels all the water down into this tank down there. Now, normally these are a bit easier to access, the big game ones, but because this is a small game guzzler, you know, birds and, you know, whatever animals can access it, you know, even though it may be difficult for a human. All right, so I think there is some water. This may be a couple inches of water. So I think it'll work. Now it's just a matter of getting that water. But I've got an idea. All right, so my plan is I'm gonna take a small rock, put it inside here to weigh this down a little bit, find the cleanest one I can, and then tie a string around this and lower it in there and hopefully pull out water. Now, the problem is you got to give it enough weight so that it sinks in the water. I gotta get the mouth to go underwater, and it's not really wanting to do that. We'll just throw it. There we go. Throw it. But see, now it's just floating. I can't get that mouth to go underwater. The problem is the water is going to be nasty then when I filter it because of all the stupid rocks in there. This plan is fraught with many downfalls. This is not working. Now it's working. I guess it just takes the right touch on that toss. And the things you do for water in the desert. Got pretty much a full bottle now, I think. Oh, okay, shit. Now half of it's gonna come out as I take it up. That's what I got out of it. Got that much water. You know, and the water's actually fairly clear. Yeah, so I got, you know, not quite a liter, but do that a few more times and I got myself some water. It was all working fine until the string came off my Gatorade bottle. So now I lost my Gatorade bottle. All right, actually, yeah, we'll reach. It's just a matter of getting it up this little ramp now, you know. This branch is pretty weak. This bottle's full of rocks. You thread the needle here and like get it in there. Oh, look at that. Oh, heck yeah. Man, what an ordeal for 2 liters of water. And progress on this route is just so slow. I'm struggling to get 15 to 17 miles a day. Got 17 last few days, and man, it was a lot of work. Lack of daylight, challenging terrain, and then, you know, stuff like this water source, you know, it's just really time consuming to be taking that long just to collect a few liters of water. This is a dry well. You can see the tank over here is also dry, and this is stuff I could see from the satellite, so it's really no surprise to me. That's why I got water from the guzzler. What a cool area though. These rocks are quite a bit different than anything else I've seen along this route. And this is the beginning of the Ireteba Peaks Wilderness area, Eldorado Peaks Mountains. My original plan was to just walk the ridgeline at that, but as slow as this route has been going, I just can't afford to be going as slow as I'm going. I really need to reach Searchlight by tomorrow. I've got post office to reach, and the larger goal, I just really need to finish this route by Christmas. I'm going to take a lower route just kind of along the base of these mountains, and I think it's going to be a mix of off trail and just some road walking. Here's another guzzler. There's a beer bottle. Man, those animals are getting drunk. You know, in the moment, I don't feel too bad about missing that ridgeline. I just feel like in the long run, you know, it's going to kind of eat at me a little bit, you know, and in some small way, I'll look at myself as an imposter or something for planning something and you know, having the goal and then not achieving it. But the reality is, you know, one, like, you know, nobody really cares. And two, I think, you know, nobody's even going to recognize the fact that I skipped those mountains, and the only person that's going to know is me. But still, I just beat myself up about it, and I don't know why. It was a cold night last night. I had my base layer top and bottoms on, and this morning I've got my pant legs on for the first time this whole hike. Anyways, I've got about 14 or 15 miles to get into Searchlight, so I should have no problem getting there early afternoon. So I couldn't see what they were because I had my tent all zipped up, but around 5:30 a.m. this morning, some birds were just buzzing my tent. You could hear their wings flapping. I mean, they were right above my tent, and they were circling around and just making several passes. So I don't know what their deal was. Never had that happen before. This is a Joshua tree. It's the first Joshua tree, the only Joshua tree I've seen on this whole hike. There's actually tons of Joshua trees now. Oh, that's pretty cool. And the landscape now is just completely covered with Joshua trees, which is really cool. And I think even cooler than that is the fact that I was walking and saw the first one. There were none in this valley, in the northern part of Eldorado Valley. And then the further south you walk, it just becomes more and more populated with these trees. And it's that kind of transition in landscapes that always fascinated me, and it was one of the reasons why I really got into long distance hiking, especially the Continental Divide Trail. I was really interested to see how desert transitions into mountains, from New Mexico to Colorado, and then how the mountains of Colorado transition into the Great Divide Basin in Wyoming and so forth. And this is just a great example, walking along just a flat open desert, and then all of a sudden one lone Joshua tree. I can see the town of Searchlight in the distance now. And then of course, anytime you get close to town, you get a bunch of trash. Some of this was set on fire. It's now Friday at noon. I left Monday at noon, so that's 4 days, basically 3 full days and 2 half days. And basically worked out to be 80 miles for this segment. Now the question is, do I take a zero or not? First order of business, post office, hotel, cheeseburger.